Uzi, how are you?
Doing well. A lot of news the last couple days.
Yeah, there's a lot we got to talk about. How's everybody doing? Dallas, Hustletown, Edward? All good. All thumbs up. I see Alexander if he wants to come up and we can chat. I really like that our kind of like permanent speakers are all ready to go at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. Love it. Uzi, has anyone on the board tried the new ChatGPT model? Alexander, how did you like it?
Yeah, it was pretty. I didn't even know it, so I've heard it. I tried it before the space yesterday, and I saw it start like googling and stuff, and I'm like, that's a new feature. But that was actually pretty cool. So, and I could ask it things that it wouldn't be able to know before, and that's pretty cool, I think.
Like what, for example? What did you ask?
I asked about BMW numbers on revenue, and it Googled the results for different quarters and stuff.
And did it get it right? Like sometimes I ask these financial information about companies and the chatbots just don't get it right.
Yeah, I didn't control it, but I'm thinking about doing it this weekend just to check and see if it's correct.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Welcome everybody. Omar, how are you?
Good.
Good. Have you tried OpenAI 1.0 yet?
Yeah, I did.
Is it 1.0 or 0.1?
01.
0.1. Strawberry. Seems to have really advanced math, advanced physics, advanced reasoning skills. How was your experience like?
Yeah, it's a really interesting new model. It's not. It's a preview, so it still makes some weird errors at times, but it essentially uses chain of thought prompting. So rather than the LLM just spitting out the first answer, let it generate for a little bit, let it think, let it question itself, and it can answer questions correctly that GPT 4.0 really struggled with.
So what, for example, have you seen a specific question that it did better versus 4.0?
Well, one of the classic questions that LLMs couldn't answer is, how many R's are in strawberry, or a question like that. They would give the wrong answer. So now it can do things like that correctly. I asked it questions where I said, for example, hey, okay, we've got a glass with a marble in it. I turn the glass upside down, and then I put the glass in the microwave, and I microwave it for 30 seconds. Where's the marble? And GPT 4.0 said, well, the marble is actually in the bottom of the glass, because once you turned it upside down, then the marble fell to the bottom of the glass, which is obviously wrong. GPT, or sorry, not GPT, but the new O1 model was able to think about it and give a perfect answer and say, well, it's probably on the floor, unless you had your hand or something under the marble.
Interesting. What was the reason why they couldn't answer the question, how many R's in strawberry?
Tokenization. So what the LLM sees internally is not the actual letters, but tokens. So a token can be like half of a word. Like, for example, super good gets split up into super and good. So super is one number. So like, let's say 57,536. That's a number that represents super. And then 30,840. So it can't actually see the individual letters. It can only see these tokens. And that's why it kind of struggled with that in the past.
And how did they resolve that this time?
I don't know, but it seems to work now.
But can we tell if it's, they just solved this one problem versus it can now solve similar problems like that one?
I mean, basically, it just is GPT, but it thinks for longer before it gives you an answer. So rather than just spitting something out, when you type something in, it'll say, oh, thinking about this, doing this, right? So you could say, for example, like, you know, give me a DCF model of this company or something like this based on the latest financial statements. And rather than just spitting something out, it'll research, it'll actually question itself, play the devil's advocate, and come up with something a lot more comprehensive. OpenAI says it's kind of equivalent to a PhD student rather than a high school or college student that you might have called the older models.
Interesting. Okay, well, we have a lot to talk about today. Please take a moment to like and repost the space to spread the word. And if you're on YouTube, please give it a like, leave a comment either on YouTube live chat or preferably below the video, so it pushes out the video to new viewers to get to grow the channel. I really appreciate that, everybody. Thank you very much. And I appreciate everyone. I see in the analytics after the show that people are reacting to things on YouTube, which also helps as well. Omar, is this similar to, so, O1 is taking its time to think. Now, in FSD, you don't have time to think. You have to react to things pretty much real time. Otherwise, people die or people can die. And does that mean, is it similar to slowing down the car for perfect drive to increase the accuracy? Like if FSD was driving 10, 20 miles an hour, as opposed to 50, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour in a given situation, its accuracy would probably increase because it has more time to think and react. Is that similar to the transition from 4.0 to 0.1?
Kind of. I mean, in driving, you can't really have more time to think, right? Driving is something where you need to answer immediately. But this is something where you're just waiting longer for the answer. You're letting it run, you're letting it have sort of an internal monologue with itself. And you can actually drop down the drop down and see what it's thinking about, read its internal monologue. But at the end, it comes out with a final answer. So, I mean, an analogy could be that, like, there are models that are bigger and more powerful, self-driving models Tesla has, that are too big to run in the car. So they use this to generate training data for the smaller models, for example. So maybe that could be kind of an analogy, but there isn't really a direct analogy to self-driving. It's kind of more like you're just asking the model to talk to itself for longer before it spits out an answer.
Interesting. Alexander, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm not. I don't know so much about training models and such, so I'm not the right person to ask. I can only consume the content.
So you have access to the new model, and I think so. Does that mean you have API then? API access?
I'm only paying like a monthly fee to use whatever latest model. I'm a mild consumer. I use it maybe once a day.
Yeah, I actually don't pay for ChatGPT. I pay for Advanced Gemini and Grok, basically. But now that I have 5,000 verified followers, I didn't pay that, I don't think. So, so even though you use it only once a day, you find it worthwhile to pay for ChatGPT?
Yeah, but I have like when I say once a day, I have like a session. I have maybe some questions that I ask it. So that's why once per day. So it's several questions.
Oh, I got you. One session. And how much do you pay? $20, right?
I don't know, maybe something like that. I have so many subscriptions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Any other comments on Dallas? I think you had your hand up, didn't you? Any other comments or questions about OpenAI's latest model, O1, aka Strawberry, which shows very high performance in advanced math, advanced physics, advanced reasoning, takes its time to think, talk to itself, check its answers, and seems to produce higher quality, PhD level, better than expert human type of answers. Omar, does this mean OpenAI has secured its place as a first place for a while?
I mean, OpenAI is still the company that's bringing new innovations forward. The other guys are trying to catch up to what OpenAI is doing. You hardly see another company say, "Hey, this is us pushing the state of the art forward." So they continue to dominate in state of the art models, I think. At the same time, I think people looked at this and weren't really sure what to do with it. People are still trying to figure out what kind of questions to ask it and what it's really good for. It's not just a better version of GPT-4. It's a different model with different strengths that can maybe handle some questions that GPT-4 can't. But in terms of whether your average person's going to use something like this, um, I'm not really sure yet. We'll kind of have to see, whether this is really a big factor for consumers in making a purchasing decision. But it certainly is exhibiting techniques that other models haven't shown yet, and you're probably going to see other companies like Google and XAI and others train similar models where it thinks for longer and tries to do better at reasoning problems.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of replies to talk about the Robotaxi side, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. People are so impatient. OpenAI is raising money on $150 billion valuation, up from $70 billion just 9 months ago. My understanding is that they're not profitable yet. $150 billion valuation, that's incredible. Although at the same time, that's how much Rivian was worth when they came to market. So maybe they should be worth $1 trillion, I don't know. Omar, any thoughts on OpenAI's raising capital at $150 billion valuation?
Well, if they raise $6 billion at $150 billion valuation, that should keep them running for another year.
Is that how much they're losing? No.
Yeah, they've got about $3 billion in revenue and about $8.5 billion in costs.
So all that money is probably going to go to GPUs,
Jensen,
right? Yeah, exactly.
the LPs write a check to the VC. The VCs write a check to Sam Altman. Sam Altman writes a check to Jensen.
Man, just cut the middleman and write your check, LPs, to Jensen. Just go buy NVIDIA stock. I don't know. I guess NVIDIA stock maybe a precursor of its peaking will be OpenAI not being able to raise capital at these insane valuations.
It
Do you think
all
this
is
is
quite a precarious house of cards, right? If they lose the ability to raise, for example, then it has a cascading effect downwards.
huge? I mean, that would be massive. If news came out tomorrow and said, you know what, OpenAI could not raise at 150 billion, instead they revised it down to 120, that would be big news.
If there's one thing Sam Altman knows how to do, it's raise money. He's going to have no problem closing this round.
Really? At $150 billion valuation? $6 billion?
I mean, this guy ran Y Combinator. So Y Combinator, the famous Silicon Valley accelerator started by Jessica Livingston and Paul Graham, every year they bring in a bunch of kids who really have no clue what they're doing, and they teach them how to build a company. Paul had a company called ViaWeb. He exited. He started this company. So they buy 7% of your company and they give you $100,000, instantly making you, plus $1 million plus valuation. Then every day at the end of the semester, sorry, the season, so they have Y Combinator, winter, summer, all the venture capitalists in the valley come in, and really people from all over the world. They're dying to invest in these startups. So Sam was the head of Y Combinator. He probably knows every serious venture investor in the world. No joke.
I mean, aren't LPs looking at the fact that XAI was able to raise capital very quickly, put up these GPU clusters very quickly, and train a model that does pretty much most of what OpenAI's ChatGPT does? Like, to an untrained eye, there's no difference. If you pulled up even somebody who like kind of vaguely follows this stuff off the street and show them two models, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And that's what Hugging Face, ratings show. OpenAI, Gemini, and Grok are pretty much same scores. So what was XAI's valuation?
I believe 24 billion post money, or maybe that was pre money. I can't remember. I think it was post money.
Yeah. So is OpenAI worth 6 times Grok, XAI?
Well, I mean, they've got 200 million users. That's probably worth something. I don't know if they're worth that much. I guess it ultimately depends on what we're seeing with O1. Is OpenAI able to have a leading frontier model that's head and shoulders above the rest? To the extent that they have the ability to do that, they are worth something more than the others, but clearly they are being commoditized rapidly, not just by XAI, but by Meta releasing Llama 3 for free, by companies like Mistral, and of course from Google and Anthropic and everybody else that's training an LLM.
Well, what do you think about the fact that Llama and Mistral are not ranked highly on Hugging Face? It's really just 3 players, right?
They're not ranked higher, but they're free. So that's worth something. The question is it really such a big difference that you need to pay for ChatGPT when you could get Llama for free and build more or less the same experience without paying anything?
How much would a business be paying, approximately order of magnitude, to OpenAI to use their models to build an experience like you mentioned, as opposed to buying, like using Llama?
Well, OpenAI charges per word. So you can use ChatGPT in your app to do whatever, but they just charge you per word in and out. So they have a few cents per token or whatever, or even fractions of a cent per token. So if I'm just doing a little bit of traffic, then it may not be much. If I'm heavily using it within my application to perform tasks, then it may be thousands of dollars a month.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I learned so much from you and other speakers on this board, and especially in AI Amateurs. I learned so much so fast. It's incredible. I'm so lucky to have these 2 spaces. And for those of you who may not have joined AI Amateurs, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific on Monday nights. Okay, Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, AI Amateurs. Highly recommend that space. This is the kind of stuff that we dig into. Basically, every non-Tesla, AI, and robotics topics we cover in the AI Amateurs. And the knowledge base we're building there informs discussions in Tesla Live. Alexander, and then Dallas.
Yeah, so I tried when I tried to make ChatGPT take some document that was scanned and then make it rewrite them to make them look good, but it couldn't handle that task. Omar, what model do you think could handle this task?
What task would the model be doing?
I tried to upload some scanned documents and to just rewrite them and make them look nicer. ChatGPT couldn't do this. Which model can do this for me?
Well, ChatGPT is probably the best model at something like this. Unfortunately, the new O1 models don't seem to support vision yet. So you can't upload attachments, you can't upload images. But GPT-4o is probably your best bet at something like that. So if GPT-4o can't handle it, then it's probably just beyond the capabilities of today's LLMs.
Dallas.
Yeah, tagging off the point you just made about businesses paying per token, I guess that raises the question: is Apple paying ChatGPT a fortune for the new quote Apple Intelligence feature on the new iPhone?
No, Apple and OpenAI made a deal where no money's being exchanged. They just handle the request for free. In exchange, they get the promotion of being included into iOS.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. Okay, cool. I guess that 200 million figure will rise rapidly then, huh, Omar?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about their business model is it scales as people use it more. So if these applications grow, then as people use them more and more, they make more and more money. So the API could be quite a big business. But right now, I think 2 billion of the 3 billion comes from ChatGPT Plus subscriptions, and 1 billion comes from API usage.
Sorry, can you say those numbers again?
Yeah, I think 2 billion comes from their ChatGPT Plus subscriptions, $20 a month, and then you have the 1 billion coming from the API.
Interesting. Okay, very good.
Also, they disclosed some numbers about their users. They've now got 200 million users, and 11 million out of them are paid $20 a month.
Interesting. Okay, that's very good to know. Very good. That's probably enough talk about OpenAI. At the top of your screens is a link to the YouTube video that's streaming right now. So you can go on there, pause, rewind, fast forward anytime you wish. You want to take a break, pause, and then go back and watch it 1.5x, 2x, whatever you want. Skip around to the topic that you want to listen to. And also, tonight, my one-on-one conversation with Uzi will switch from members only to public. So tonight, my conversation with Uzi is going to go from members only to public, and you can see that through my channel, and you can reach the channel through the link at the top of your screens. All right. What should we talk about next? Should we talk about robotaxis or nah?
Waymo and Uber had an interesting deal.
Nah, hold on. That's too interesting. Let's leave the best for the last. Tariffs on Chinese imports. The U.S. administration is going forward with tariffs on Chinese imports. It's going to go into effect on the 27th of this month. 100% of EVs imported, 50% on solar cells imported, 25% of steel, aluminum, and EV batteries imported. 25% tariffs and 100% on EVs. So this is going to have some impact on Tesla's imports because obviously Tesla imports the APL batteries. Omar, any comments on this?
Yeah. These proposals will obviously hurt EVs. They'll hurt EV adoption in order to protect our domestic industry. So the cheapest and best batteries in the world, not only are they the cheapest batteries, they have longer cycle life, they're safer, they have a lower energy density, but these CATL batteries, they are the entry-level EV batteries. So when you make them more expensive, which there's a number of regulations that are doing just that, you're making the entry price of an EV higher, and that's delaying electrification. So really, we're delaying electrification here in the guise of protecting our industry, which is, frankly, the legacy automakers are already doomed. So, you know, these guys say, "Oh, we love EVs. We're all for EVs. Look, we're going to give you 7,500 to buy an EV." Behind the scenes, a lot of these policies are actually slowing down EV adoption in the United States. And frankly, it's kind of embarrassing when you look at the rest of the world and how they're adopting EVs, and the United States is just getting left in the past.
Okay, perfect. Very good. Thank you very much, Omar. All right, we talked about OpenAI. We talked about tariffs and Chinese imports. Did you get a chance to look at that Baidu Geely sedan 0707?
No, I should probably take it out, but I've been busy with moving.
Gotcha. Has anyone on the board looked at Baidu Geely sedan 07? It's supposed to have Baidu's L4 perception-based autonomous system. That's going to be priced at $30,000 to $42,000. I think that we should look into this. Okay. Let's see. What else? Let's talk about Tesla's financing. So I guess you can buy a Model 3, Model Y today with a zero down. Huh. That's a hell of a deal.
Wait, so is this the car that was launched a year ago?
No, I think you're talking about 07. I think it's coming soon.
Oh, I'm seeing a press release from October 2023, and it says they launched it.
Let me see. Yeah, I'm seeing a TechNode article from 8 hours ago. Baidu Geely joint brand launches second model to compete with Tesla. Which model are you looking at?
Yeah, so the first model launched a year ago. So, I mean, that
Okay.
kind of gives you a sense of what the impact is. I mean, you see so many of these guys make announcements like this. It's really easy to announce that you've got some autonomous car. It's really hard to actually manage millions of autonomous cars and drive billions of miles. So this is an industry full of smoke and mirrors, because it's really trivial to do like a little demo or like run a little service and say, okay, look, we've solved autonomy. But actually making money on driverless cars is something no one in the world has done yet.
I mean, I don't know if the first model had it. I doubt it. Okay, but the thing about this second model that's coming to market is the L for autonomous driving capability claims, and you're saying that it's probably not going to be as hyped. But on the other hand, I mean, Baidu is not just another company, right? So
I mean, check out the comment I posted with a screenshot. You see a Geely press release on their website from last year saying they launched it. So this is the second version a year later. I mean, I haven't looked at the system, but I don't think that it is really even matching the capabilities of what FSD supervised can do. Like, you can call it whatever you want, have marketing, but I don't think this is capable of actually taking the user around without a driver.
okay, sounds good. All right,
Like,
back to yeah, go ahead.
Dan O'Dowd and some of the Tesla bears will say that FSD is an L4 system. There's a lot of gray area in how you sort of classify these things. So everybody wants to make their system sound impressive, but really, if there was a driverless car that you could buy in China and people were using it to get around and it worked reliably, we wouldn't be hearing about it a year later.
All right, I'll see if there's more details about this car, and then we can talk more about it next week. Switching topics, Tesla, zero down financing. is this new? Because I saw claims in the replies that said this is not new. It just wasn't advertised.
No, it's new. Yeah, this is really exciting. I mean, this is the first time they've had a promotional offer with $0 due at signing. For a lot of people, they don't have thousands of dollars to put down on a car, so Tesla just wasn't an option for them. But now, until the end of the month, you can get a Tesla and put $0 down, get the car. Your monthly payment will be a little bit higher. But not only are they giving you $0 down, you get 2.49% APR as well. So you get pretty low interest, maybe half the rate that it would have been otherwise. And you also get $0 down. So it's a great promotion for the end of the quarter. I think a lot of people are going to be taking them up on it. I was telling my girlfriend, hey, maybe it's time to get a Model 3 finally.
Alexander.
Yeah, we got 0 rates on Model Y here in Sweden actually yesterday, I think.
Okay. So Tesla is really ramping up financing offers. 0% rates in China, across Europe, and low rates in US. And China has had 0 down, 0% rates for a while now. And US just got 0 down. And what was the down payment like on an average loan? Was it $4,000 or $5,000?
Yeah, probably $4,000 to $6,000 at least.
Okay. And 2.49% financing. Let's say the average new car loan is about 10%. So you're looking at 7.5% per year of buy downs. Call it 5 years, 50, let's say $40,000 loan. I mean, this is a very costly proposition. I mean, we're talking about $10,000 to $15,000 cost per car, aren't we?
Yeah, it does sound pretty costly.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla is going all out in making these cars affordable. These Model 3s, Model Ys, both on the used car front and the new car front, they are by far the most affordable options today. You can get a used Model 3 with high mileage, admittedly, but still, the battery has nice range, enough range for most people, for most trips. You have access to supercharger network. You can run the latest FSD model. Even on the 2019, 2020 Model 3, you can get it for like $12,000 today, And with this new Model Y and Model 3 offers with 0 down, you're going to see the used Model 3 and used Model Y prices decline further. I'm starting to see more than 100 Model Ys, the price below $25,000. Hundreds of Model 3s priced below $20,000. And this trend has implications on legacy automakers' balance sheets and the overall competitive structure. This is very important for people to kind of track. And I track this every single morning. And Tesla is going all out in making these cars affordable. I mean, this is incredible. This morning, there was some news from IC Cars. Omar, did you see that? iccars.com on affordability. Yep. Oh, you did? You want to talk about it?
No, why don't you explain it?
Yeah. So used EVs. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Used car and EV affordability improves as new cars move further. And then that's from before. Let me see. Study shows major price drops on used EVs. And we talk about this all the time in here. A used EV average prices are about $26,000, $27,000. Used ICE and hybrid prices are about $30,000. So the average used EV listing price is 10% lower than a used ICE and used hybrid prices today. That is incredible. I mean, that tells me mission accomplished for Tesla. This is a major milestone. Especially used Model 3 prices are listed as, the highest depreciation in the last year, down about 25%. But that means the vast majority of the US can now afford a used Model 3. They just don't know it yet. But that knowledge will spread very fast with these articles like this, YouTube channels, some, Tesla friendly, some Elon hating, but even they spread the news that you can now afford a used Model 3 for $10, $12, $15,000 and run the latest FSD. That's just it's mind blowing to me that this is not common knowledge. Omar, anything to add?
Yeah, it's really what we always dreamed of before the Model 3 existed. We said, yeah, wouldn't it be great if EVs were affordable if they weren't 100K? And everyone said, you guys are idiots. This is never going to happen. And it may not necessarily be fun if you're an owner to see values falling or to see the market the way it is for used cars, but it's a great thing. I mean, people can get into these cars now. Anyone can. Anyone can get a car with FSD. And it's also interesting on the new vehicle side, you have some data that on the registration side from S&P Global Mobility, and they said that in July, registrations in the US grew 1.2% year over year. Not much, but for the last 5 months, Tesla has been down year over year in the United States. So for the first time, we've actually got year over year growth. And I think that's going to continue into the back half of the year. So, I mean, it even if you hate Elon, these deals are just so good. It's so affordable. It's such a great vehicle. And it's got safety features that aren't on any other car. So, I mean, especially just watch what happens with hands-free and Summon. I mean, this release has been like a huge constipation. We just can't get it out. And when we finally get it out, it's going to feel great. And I think a lot of people, because you can run the same exact model now on hardware 3 and hardware 4. They've unified the model successfully. 12.5.3 is running on Zach's hardware 3 car and it's running on my hardware 4 car. And if you saw our video, they ran actually Smart Summon exactly the same between hardware 3 and hardware 4. The driving is the same. So even a 2016 or 2017 hardware 3 car that's been upgraded to hardware 3 can run the latest actually Smart Summon. And when the viral videos start going around, when Kim Kardashian and Bad Bunny and all the other people with Cybertrucks, when Shaq starts posting FSD videos, watch those used Tesla prices and watch what happens.
Very good. Okay. In summary, you can get 0 down, 2.49% financing for Model 3, new Model 3, Model Y, or you can pay a little bit of down payment and get 1.99% financing. If you're in Europe, in China, the deals are even better, 0% financing, 0 down. This is just incredible. I mean, new Teslas are just so affordable. And if you don't want to get a new Tesla, you're the kind of person who only buys used cars, go get a used Tesla. Get a used Model Y for $25,000. Get that $4,000 credit. Get a used Model 3 for $12,000, $13,000, $14,000. Add it to Tura network, add it to Uber network. Bull,
Yeah, and the
20,
thing
30, yeah.
is, even if you're buying used, this promotion is going to bring down the cost of used vehicles. Because think about it, I can go get a Model 3 long range rear wheel drive with 360 miles of range. And that's 360 miles of new EPA range. So it's close to 400 miles of range under the old methodology. Like, this is a great long range vehicle. And I can get it for $33,990. Okay. On top of that, now they're giving $0 down and 2.49% financing. If I'm in the military, I can get another $1,000 off. If I refer 10 people to Tesla, I can get up to another $5,000 off. I mean, this is a brand new Model 3. It's got a screen in the back. It's got ventilated seats. It's got hardware 4. And you can get it for like 33,990. I mean, Of course, no wonder you're seeing these used cars at 25,000 or below. Who would want to buy one of these used cars when you've got a brand new car that's so cheap? And so you're going to see the used market continue to reflect these insane deals that they're giving on new cars.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that summary, Omar. Thank you very much. And we have record participation in YouTube live chats, link at the top of our screens, record viewership at the same time going on X and here as well. Great conversation. And we have a really strong board. Let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, why everybody's here to talk about interest rates. Macroeconomics, the Fed is going back and forth between 25 and 50 basis points. They're now in a quiet period. Nobody knows what they're going to do next week, but the probability of the 50 basis point cut has increased from about 5% yesterday morning. It went up throughout while we were here in this space. Today, it's about 40-50%. Yoda was so certain yesterday. He said, how can you even ask this question to me, you idiot? It's definitely going to be 25. And now it looks like 50-50. Yoda, what do you have to say for yourself? You're not a new machine.
Yeah, I'm just driving by a very slow area. I think the sign says 25 miles per hour.
All right, so Yoda's doubling down on 25. I'm just kidding. I know you all are here to talk about macro, but Bull 2035 had his hand up. Bull, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to point out on the last point. In 1995, I was looking at a Toyota Camry, a new Toyota Camry, $25,000, and that was in 1995. So we're talking about several $1,000s more for a brand new Tesla today. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And for all the reasons that Omar counted, like these cars, even though they're more affordable on a per mile basis than a Corolla, if you consider gas savings and everything, you get so much that you don't even get in like a BMW 3 Series. So you can get like, screen in the back. I mean, which car has that? Which premium car has a screen in the back? You're getting like $80,000, $100,000 value in the interior of a new Model 3 at an affordability of a Corolla. And it's just going to take some time for this knowledge to spread, but it will. Even if it takes a couple of years, it will eventually. All right, let's talk about robotaxis. Yoda, what'd you think of the sighting? The yellow car. Yoda can't handle the mute button on the steering wheel, it looks like. All right. Omar, what'd you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting spy shot. My first reaction was, what the? But it's hard to know just based off like a picture like this that's camouflaged. Obviously, they're trying to prevent us from seeing it. But it does seem that the vehicle doesn't have mirrors, which suggests it could be the cybercab. It could also be one of these new, more affordable models that they're working on, and it could not be the cybercab. So, maybe the cybercab has a truck bed or something. Maybe this is some type of smaller, more affordable truck or something. Maybe they said, "Hey, we can't get the Cybertruck down to 40,000, so we made a Model Y truck or something like a smaller truck." Um, I don't really know what it is, but I'm guessing 1 month from now we probably will.
Very good. And I see everybody is jumping out of their seats with all sorts of raises hands to talk about this topic. I highly appreciate all of your participation. Our views should just went up exponentially. I love it. But before that, TSLA Live is proudly sponsored by Joa, your go-to source for premium Tesla accessories. And because you're a Tesla Live community member, Joa is hooking you up. Use code TSLA Live for a special discount. The link is at the top of our screens. And Paymore, who buys, sells, trades, and recycles electronics, because Paymore believes the best technology doesn't have to come at the cost of our planet or your wallet. Join the Paymore revolution. visit one of their 100 stores near you, sell their old dusty electronics to get the most cash from Pay More. Thank you. Yoda, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I saw a steering wheel, a very faint steering wheel. That's one thing I didn't like. The other thing is there's this bump on the top of the roof, which I didn't like. But again, that could be just part of the camouflage.
What did you do with Tesla, Miss Yoda yesterday?
I'll keep it PG, but what she said to me, in a whisper. We have big ears. She whispered in my ear, "Do you want me or 12.5?" And I didn't know what to answer. Really, I didn't know
And
what
now
to
you're
answer.
divorced. And now, did she file for divorce yet? Come on.
No, we're still together. We're still together.
That's so funny. That's so funny. All right, Alexander.
Yeah, do anyone remember the YouTuber? She made her Model 3 into a truck. It looks like that, the Truckla.
It does look like that. You're right. Truckla. I love that video. Uzi.
Yeah, it looks like a toy car dressed up. The what's it called? The hood looks really bizarre, as Yoda pointed out. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah, I'm not really excited about the design of it for the most part.
Guys, when was the last time you got excited about the design of an Uber that's coming to pick you up? No one cares what the color of this car is, how it looks. You don't even know what car is going to be assigned to you when you sign up for your drive on Uber. Okay. What matters is how efficient is this car, how safe it is, and how quickly you're going to be able to get one and get to your destination. Those are the only things that matter. But yeah, interesting sighting, and I see Uzi posted in a reply the sighting here as well. Uzi, go ahead.
Yeah, what matters is the content of the character. But I do think, for the most part, we can't really. It's kind of blurry, so I can't tell if there's a steering wheel in there. Um, the yellow covering makes it look like a taxi. I hope that's not the case. I mean, the Cybertruck I was excited about, and if a Cybertruck was picking me up, I'd pay extra for an Uber.
Interesting. Dallas.
Yeah, I personally disagree on the importance of looks. I think looks are extremely important. I don't think Tesla's put out an ugly vehicle yet. I think every car they've put out has been aesthetically pleasing, and that in and of itself does help drive sales. I know this is a different avenue of business.
You know what's really ironic is the fact that the comment "looks are very important" is coming from a guy who's in Dallas.
And we got a lot of good-looking people here in Dallas, so it's
You get a lot of what you have is a lot of boob jobs. That's what you got.
Yeah, we do have a lot of those, that's for sure. No, I think looks are important. And I mean, personally, I think all the sketches we've seen so far, the one in the Walter Isaacson book in particular, I think it's a cool looking prototype. Personally, I think this thing is hideous. I hope there's something pretty hidden underneath it, but we'll see. We have no idea.
Alexander.
Uzi, I see a steering wheel in the picture, but I like the color. It's IKEA color.
Omar.
I mean, do people not realize that this is not the vehicle? This is a camouflaged vehicle. I don't know what's going on in the back. There's some big rectangle. Like, why do people think they know what it looks like from seeing this? I'm not even sure what I'm looking at. I mean, this is Warner Brothers Studios. It could just this could be like the next Transformers movie. Oh my god, what is that? The Robotaxi's so ugly. Oh, that's Optimus Prime's foot. Okay. So I don't really know what I'm looking at here. I'm not ready to call it ugly yet. I don't even know what this is. Um, it could be the Cybercab, but it's hard to really know what to make of it, particularly the back. And I don't think the front looked that weird. It kind of looked like, a Tesla front or a Roadster, but I'm not really sure what I'm looking at here. It's clear that they have camouflage on it to hide what it really looks like. right? They don't want us to see it before the event. So they've put something on it. Now, what the actual vehicle looks like under that, I don't know. But we can see that it doesn't have side view mirrors. We can see that the rear wheel seems to be bigger than the front wheels. So we can see some things, but I don't think we can really see what it looks like yet.
This is incredible. Incredible amount of interest in this topic right now. So many hands, people requesting to speak. Live chat comments are going wild. The views on YouTube are going wild. I love it. Thank you very much, everybody. Please take a moment to like and repost this space and share the YouTube channel with your friends, family, colleagues, enemies. Yoda, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if anyone around that area could be doing daily drone shots at night, just to give us maybe more shots.
Omar, are you in the area?
I am headed down there today, yes. So I do
Oh,
have a
wow.
drone.
Wow. I mean, don't get in trouble with Tez. I was joking, but yeah, that would be pretty fucking amazing. Uzi.
Yeah, does anyone know how this photo was taken? I also think the yellow, as of now, makes it look like a Lego piece. Once the cyber skeleton is unveiled, it'll be really sexy.
We have a new speaker actually on the board. Let's go to Santosh. Santosh Guruswamy. Santosh.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like it kind of makes sense. Like, just imagine a use case of two people, getting a airport, going to the airport or coming back from the airport. Like the two people and four big bags or something like that. Like it looks like okay, it can fit that, and also like a bag looks like a maybe, like a pickup style luggage space. If you think about the regular car and the regular trunk, I mean, we are wasting a lot of space in the back. I mean, we have a rear windshield in the car. I mean, probably for a robotaxi, we don't need that. I mean, we don't have to see anything from the back. And I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Kind of.
I like it. I like those thoughts. Omar, what do you think? Maybe this is a vehicle that is designed for airport transportation, like back and forth from the airport. We've seen those routes being selected before. I think in China they do, with level 4 Robotaxi rides from to and from the airport. I think doesn't Waymo do that as well?
Yeah, they're doing it in Phoenix now, I think. Yeah, it might make sense to have 2 seats and a bunch of storage space. That might make it a really great workhorse for the rideshare network.
Yeah. I guess maybe we'll find out more when you go down with your drones tonight. Santosh, thank you very much. Would you like to tell us more about yourself? I believe this is the first time you're speaking.
Oh yeah, like I'm just Tesla stockholder. I've been holding a bunch of stocks for more than 4 years. I haven't sold any. Yeah, very excited, for the Robotaxi event. I've signed up. Hopefully, if I get an invite, get to attend the event.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Scott, go ahead.
I like Yoda's example or idea of floating a drone around. It's going to be very expensive. A lot of batteries keeping that thing in the air 24 hours a day or all night long trying to catch these. But I thought that was funny. But as regards to the Robotaxi, that picture, I don't hold much stock in what it actually looks like because they camouflaged it a lot. So I don't think, I think they purposely did that so people don't really get an idea what's underneath there. So I wouldn't worry too much how ugly it is or anything like that. That's just my take. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Scott. Omar?
I bet it's going to look good.
Yeah, it's got, this is a Tesla. It's going to look
I
good.
agree 1,000%. So People going out there saying it's ugly, I think that's stupid, to be honest.
Dallas, Scott just called you stupid.
For the record, I said the prototype we've all seen is not ugly. The thing that we're looking at that's yellow is ugly, but we're also doing exactly what they want us to be doing. It's yellow. They wouldn't have made it yellow if they didn't want people taking pictures of it. This is all part of, in my opinion, driving hype, driving engagement, driving discussion on the event. And it's going to end up being really, really aesthetically pleasing, just like every other Tesla product is.
Yeah. There's a comment in live chat that says Dallas better than Austin from coming from BB. And so I disagree. And I'm wearing a hat with the name Austin on it. So I just blocked BB from the YouTube channel.
Thank you. Austin's amazing, by the way. Austin's the second best city in the state of Texas. So
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Hey, Omar, wasn't there an article like 5 years ago about Elon hating the color yellow?
I don't really remember that.
Oh, come on. How can you not remember this? There was like a huge, was it the LA Times article or something? It was about how Elon doesn't like the color yellow and therefore they got rid of like safety precaution lines or something at Gigafactory, and that's why people were getting injured or something. Do you not remember that?
No, I must have gotten
Oh
lost
my
somewhere in a
gosh.
mountain of FUD BS.
Yeah, I guess so. I bet Yoda remembers.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out this range test that Out of Spec did on the new Model 3 long range all-wheel drive. They said it blows past the EPA rating by far. They were able to travel, and this is not the rear wheel drive, this is the all-wheel drive. They were able to travel 370 miles at 70 miles an hour. And they compared it against the previous generation Model 3. They said even accounting for degradation, the new car went 60 miles further than the old car on a perfect side-by-side comparison. And so 370 miles at 70 miles an hour, the rear-wheel drive could probably do 400. So these are really incredibly long-range vehicles at an insane price, and now it's $0 down.
Can you please repeat those numbers?
The Model 3 long range all wheel drive got 370 miles of highway range at 70 miles an hour. So if you look at the website, according to the EPA, the Model 3 long range all wheel drive has 341 miles combined city and highway. And they actually got 370 miles at 70 miles an hour on the highway. So yeah, it basically blew past what the EPA range figure suggests.
That's amazing. To what do you attribute that?
Improvements to the car. They've redesigned it, made it more efficient, made it more aerodynamic. A lot of this was masked because the EPA changed their rating methodology. So this year, the EPA made their ratings more strict. So when these new models came to the market, it looked like they had a little bit more range. But because the EPA made the standard more strict, it's actually a lot more range. Like, this is what I've been saying about the Cybertruck and the range extender. So the Cybertruck with the range extender goes, 470 miles. Under the old EPA methodology, that would have been 500 miles even. So these new EPA figures, which are designed to make people less disappointed, right? It's designed to be more realistic or lower, right? Um, they may actually be surprised and find the EV actually does more than what it advertised. So that's probably a good thing. Probably good to undersell and overdeliver. But a lot of people might not know if you just look at the EPA figure and say, okay, well, it's 340. I have a 310 mile EV. That should be about 30 extra miles. When in reality, it may be closer to 60 extra miles.
That's amazing. All right. I asked So somebody in the replies linked to the post by Kyle Connor, who posted 49 minutes ago about these stats. Reply to Kyle and tell him to come to Tesla Live and tell us about it. I replied and invited him. Hopefully he joins and we can get some details and he can promote his video. Yoda.
Yeah, I think I just came up with a new name for the Cybercab, but before that, just want to echo what Omar's saying. In addition to the range, the new Model 3 and the old Model 3 as well is one of the safest vehicles. So if you care about your family, that's certainly the car to get. The performance, it drives like a Porsche. I think it handles like a Porsche. Personally, I've had a 911, had to sell it because Mrs. Yoda was pregnant at the time, couldn't fit in the front. But so the new name, I think Tesla should call the Robotaxi Swift. And so, you could, and if you could buy one of these things, you could tailor your Swift, which is amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. When did you come up with this?
Just now.
Wow, that's incredible. I like it. Scott.
So I take delivery. Currently, it says September 22nd through the 29th for my long range rear wheel drive, and I'm super excited. I got the red with the white interior, so I'm very excited about that. And I will let you know firsthand if I can get over 400-mile range on that. It's great to hear that you can get the 471 out of the 341 that the all range does. So I also will agree that the efficiency is amazing. I bet it'll be just over 200 or 200 kilowatt hours, or whatever, for efficiency, maybe even under. So I will definitely let you know. A question I have for Omar is, with yours being the new performance and the range saying at it's supposed to be what I think 301, 303. Can you get more than that on yours on a full charge?
Today's EVs have so much range. It's way more than anyone needs. You know who worries about range on EVs? People who don't drive them. I mean, so we drove from LA to San Francisco recently, and drove for hours and hours, 4 or 5 hours, stopped, plugged in, went inside briefly, went to the bathroom, got some snacks, got in and continued. These things can really drive for hours and hours. And the latest generation Model 3 is a big improvement. We're talking about 70 more miles. They said, okay, let's account for degradation of the older battery. Let's call it 60 miles of increased efficiency out of the same battery pack. So we got the new Model Y coming. We're probably going to see a similar efficiency upgrade there as well. And I mean, if you're somebody who needs to travel, right? So if you're traveling at 70 miles an hour and you have a range of 370 real world miles, then that's 5.5 hours of driving before you need to stop and charge again. At that point, you're probably wanting to stretch, wanting to pee. And in 5 or 10 minutes, you can get over 100 miles of range added from a supercharger and, start going again. So it really is an incredible situation with today's long range EVs. And I mean, you can get this thing for $34,000 after the point of sale credit. It's lower than the average price of a new car, and it's got more range than pretty much anyone ever drives in a day, right? Your typical day, you're driving 30 miles a day. This thing is going to be able to go for a week or more before you have to recharge it.
Dallas.
Yeah, in my experience, when I road trip, I don't go 70. I know certain people do, and that's fine. But I will plug the Lone Star State here, 75-mile-an-hour speed limits. I know we're an anomaly, but people don't go 70 on the highway. People go about low 80s to maintain flow of traffic. And the problem with EVs, in my experience, is anything over 70, it's almost on like a per mile per hour basis. The car loses range like exponentially. Don't quote me on that, but I know there's some figure there. So if you're driving like 80 with the flow of traffic on a road trip, your range is closer to like high 200s in a Model Y, or maybe even mid 200s in my experience. I don't know if anyone else can say they've experienced the same thing.
Yeah, well, when you are traveling at higher speeds, you have more wind resistance, so it takes more energy to move the car, and the wind resistance does increase exponentially at higher speeds. So, absolutely, if you're in a state like Texas where you have to drive 80 miles or above on the highway, then you're not going to get as much range. The range is going to be significantly reduced. Of course, you could always just drive slow in the right lane or something if you're running out of battery, but in Texas, the situation isn't going to be as good as some other places. Here in California, we can't even go 70 miles if we want to. The traffic's so bad, we're lucky if we're going 8 miles an hour at times, right? So it's a little bit of like I'm driving 85 and a little bit of I'm driving like 40 going through a traffic jam, and it kind of averages out to about 70. So in most of the major EV markets in the coast, that is pretty typical. 70 miles or above as an average for highway travel. In places like Texas, absolutely, you're going to get less range if you're driving at higher speeds.
And it should be pointed out that obviously wind resistance applies to both EVs and hybrids and ICE and every single vehicle. So it does reduce your range exponentially for all vehicles. Edward.
Yeah, Yaman, I'm a little baffled by the whole conversation, because if you're talking about regular cars get higher mileage via highway than city, and when I've tested the vehicles, the Cybertruck and the Model 3 going 100 miles, it's accurate to, like, let's say it says it's going to be there in, 45 minutes or 52 minutes. It's literally like a minute off either way. It's like almost perfect to the miles. I don't see how the range is getting depleted by, doing 80. I'm doing 75, 80 on a 70 zone, and I don't see any depletion. So I'm not sure that there's any data there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but I actually, about a year ago when I was in this space, I was hosting this space live, and I was in a Tesla. I was testing FSD, and I was driving from Giga, Texas to downtown Austin. And I ran into a bit of a range issue, and I immediately adjusted the way I was driving the car, lowered my speed. Okay, I was on the highway, and I ended up adding miles to the expected range. I was on the highway, going 60, 65 miles an hour. It wasn't one of those 80-mile highways, but 80 mile an hour highways, but still, I added range. And so I don't really, and also like one thing I realized while I was driving my friend's Tesla pretty often those times, that like Omar said, the people who talk about these range issues, range anxiety, are usually people who don't drive these. Because once you kind of start driving it, kind of incorporate into your daily life, you realize range is really not an issue. You go to a Target or some sort of a supermarket, there's superchargers there. By the time you can grab 1-2 items and get the hell out of there, your car is already fully charged. So, and this is a friend who doesn't I wasn't charging using like overnight charging in a garage or something. I was relying on superchargers, and it was no issue at all. And it was a Model 3 standard range, by the way. So this whole range anxiety thing is just way overblown. Even this was, by the way, a 2020 Model 3, and Omar just mentioned all the range figures for the new Model 3 rear-wheel drive that Kyle just put up. So, I mean, this was a topic like 10 years ago. It's no longer a topic other than fun. Edward?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think the whole range thing is just blown out of the water. But I will tell you, the one thing that I do notice on the vehicles is if you're cranking the AC way down to like 60 or something, or if you're blasting the music for a long time at a high level, that could put drain on the batteries. But otherwise, I don't see any drain just from normal driving. It's just
Exactly. Exactly. Good points. Good points. You know what I'm going to go to Scott in a second for a final comment on this, but you know what I'm really interested about is this Robotaxi's efficiency. So Elon mentioned in, I believe, 2020 or 2021 investor meeting, he went on stage and he said, this purpose-built Robotaxi, they're really going to focus on getting the cost per mile down. And so we're about to witness what miles per kilowatt hour this thing goes with Elon's first principles thinking. I think that's going to be incredible. That's what I'm really interested in. Scott, any final comments?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I drove home from my parents to Wisconsin, across Wisconsin to Minnesota yesterday, and you normally could make it the whole way without having to stop, but I wasn't at a full charge when I left. But I stopped at Culver's, went in and got some ice cream, and before I got out, it was already done. So I agree 100% that the range isn't as much of an issue. And that was a slow charger too, one of the older ones, not the newer ones.
Okay, good. Omar?
I more often have a problem that it's charging too fast than that it's charging too slow.
Yeah. I actually had the same problem when I was going to Target. Just grab like a
because it's like
bar.
you got to hurry up and get back to the car. It's already done, and I'm
you're
still
gonna get late
trying to
fees,
get something to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still in In-N-Out waiting for my food, and it's like, hey, I'm done charging. Let's go.
Yeah. Hustle Town?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same experience at the Buc-ee's. The line was just huge on a Sunday, and there were like 3 Tesla owners that were at the Buc-ee's as well. And I was like, I think I've been here too long. And they were like, go, go, go. That was crazy.
Edward?
Yeah, I think that the real debate is bladder versus range, and I think the range is constantly winning. And I have to stop before I have to charge anyway. So it's so silly.
Okay, good. Good. We have other things to talk about. Let's discuss. Actually, before we switch out to Robotaxi, Omar, do you think we're going to see a demo of Grok on the car?
We could. I don't know if we will or we won't, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, that would be amazing. This morning, I met up with a friend of mine who has a Tesla for coffee, and we were catching up, and he mentioned that he got a Tesla, and I said, how do you like your FSD and everything? He said, well, one thing that I wish it was able to do is I wish that I could pick the navigation that FSD is going to take. So I know that you can kind of select one of a couple of routes at the beginning of the trip, but just like you can tell an Uber driver, don't take that street, take this street. Maybe you'll be able to do that with Grok. I think that would be pretty amazing to do. All right. Yoda, what else is on your mind?
Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. It's the ultimate backseat driver, right? And also it's how you communicate with the Uber driver today. You know, take me to the post after the block. You know, those are very useful things, I think, in the Robotaxi. But I think from a feature perspective, it's complete. You know, with AS, as well as park and on park. I don't think there's anything material that's needed.
Okay, good. JC, how you doing over there? How'd you like our conversation about Texas?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Yeah, I like it. And everything that y'all are saying is pretty spot on when it comes to Texas. Yeah, and I will tell you the range anxiety thing. I used to fall for that. That was one of my biggest concerns before I got into a Tesla. And I've driven all over East and Central Texas, South Louisiana, no problems whatsoever. As long as I'm in a Tesla, no problems.
JC, you got the new Model 3. Are you seeing these very good range figures that Kyle's talking about?
Absolutely. In fact, while I was listening to that, I kind of ran some of my own math here, and yeah, their range estimates are spot on. I've covered about 850 miles since I bought it. Obviously, I think it's got an 80 kilowatt hour battery capacity, and I put about 200 kilowatt hours in. So that comes out right at about 350, 360 miles on a full battery. I mean, that's a little bit more than I think that they even say for. And I've got the long range all wheel drive, so that brings your mileage down a little bit. But I think the numbers I'm coming up with are even higher than what they state on the website. So I'm and now I will say this: I've mostly done driving, just around the Houston area. I haven't done a road trip yet. So I agree with what everybody else said as well. Is once you go above 70, you get up to 85. You definitely, but I will say that the Tesla UI does a great job of incorporating that and letting you know. Yeah, and when Omar said that you get over in the right lane to go set, like shit, people go 90 in the right lane over here, so there's none of that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
All
just
right.
one of those things in Texas you just got to incorporate in.
Thank you very much. Omar, news this morning: Uber expanding Waymo partnership to Austin and Atlanta in early 2025. Uber expanding partnership with Waymo to Austin, Atlanta in early 2025. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? He was on
Yeah.
CNBC talking about it.
Might be the most interesting deal of the day, news of the day for sure.
Yeah. What is that? How do you? I mean, you're a Tesla investor, and this is obviously going to be a competition for Tesla robotaxis. How do you feel about it?
They're not in competition. Look, my Tesla drives me everywhere. In one day, I drive sometimes more FSD miles in my Tesla than Waymo has driven me in the last 4 years. It is so much more useful. It's not even a contest. It can take me anywhere. Waymo can't. So I use Waymo too. I love Waymo, but it has its limitations. Places you can go, what you can do, cost, etc. What you can use the car for. So they're doing a great thing paving the way for driverless service, but Tesla has the best solution in the world, hands down. And a lot of people aren't really, I think, asking the right questions. A lot of people think, okay, Waymo has the best technology in the world. Actually, just sit behind the wheel of the Waymo and the latest Tesla FSD, and you'll see that FSD is more natural, smoother, doesn't make jerky movements as often, and doesn't have a lot of the limitations Waymo has. Now, because of the way the service is, you have to supervise it. But the difference between supervised and unsupervised is a much thinner line than people realize. So, really, for this deal, I thought what was interesting about it is Waymo is not going to be launching. They had announced Atlanta and Austin before, but sorry, excuse me. But Waymo is not going to be launching in Atlanta and Austin under the Waymo app. They're actually going to be launching exclusively under the Uber app. And Waymo is not going to maintain and build out this fleet themselves. They're going to have Uber do it. So this is a really interesting deal because they've sort of bifurcated this a little bit where they're running their own Waymo app and their own Waymo service in San Francisco and LA and Phoenix. But now as they expand, they're having Uber actually maintain the fleet. So it's almost like they're kind of trying to, take the fleet management part of it and say, this is not really what we want to be doing. We can leave this to Uber. But it's unusual for Uber too, because Uber has never owned and maintained their own cars before. So it's just a bizarre partnership all around. And in that sense, I mean, it's not bizarre, but it just really makes me think it's like, what's going on in these companies that's making them do this? This is a very unusual partnership for both of these companies. And I mean, maybe it's a way for Waymo to scale faster if they don't have to manage this fleet themselves in every city. If they can partner with others, maybe that helps them scale faster. But they're also, I think, it raises some questions. Are they really seeing that they are seeing prohibitively high costs managing this fleet themselves? Is it a big headache? Is this partnership going to work out? It brings up a lot of questions, and it's really, really interesting that they're going exclusively with Uber, having Uber manage the fleet instead of them. In a way, I think it's kind of a recognition that our strategy of just running the entire fleet ourselves is not going to work, and we need partners to do it. So it's interesting that
Okay.
they chose to partner with Uber.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. What's going on? You have to unmute yourself for us to hear you. Yep. Connect. Can you guys hear me? Yoda.
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear. Yeah, I think Waymo is looking for this deal to become really, being more of a technology provider, and kind of sticking with that and using Uber as a way to gain distribution. Now, I think in both cases, in a way, they're trying to pass the puck on the liability when this thing scales. I think it would be very difficult when an accident or death happens if it is assigned to Waymo. And so by partnering with the Uber and other distribution partners, they could sort of be a little bit removed from that. So I think that could be one reason.
Okay. Interesting. That's a good reason. And that reason also applies potentially to Yoda, to Tesla as well, right, Yoda?
Yeah, that's right.
So do you think Tesla will do the same?
I think Tesla will keep everything vertically integrated. So I don't think it's going to be partnering with the rideshare companies. It might buy like a Lyft just to gain some users to expedite that growth, but not for the same reasons why Waymo is partnering with Uber.
Okay. Omar, what do you think about that? Do you think Tesla could reach the same conclusion? Say maybe we're not in the business of running this fleet. We're going to outsource that to Uber. We're just going to produce the most efficient Robotaxi EVs.
I mean, this has been Tesla's strategy from the beginning, is that we're going to enable cars that other people own to join our fleet. And I think this is really a admission by Waymo that running their own fleet is never going to scale. As long as they have to pay for the parking lots and the charging stations and the people to go get the cars and clean them, and they don't want to be dealing with that. They want to be making the brain of the car, right? And as long as they're managing the entire fleet themselves and putting that on their balance sheet, they're never going to be able to scale rapidly. Never. So this was an eventuality. If you want to scale, you're not going to be able to have to put all the costs on yourself. So they need to find a way to offload the costs onto somebody else. Now, Uber is out here feeling incredibly insecure because autonomous cars are coming and people are using the Waymo app instead of the Uber app. Teslas have FSD. Tesla is working on their own rideshare service. So he needs to sort of cover his ass for investors and make them look like we're really leading in autonomy. So he's happy to take the losses off Waymo's balance sheet and put them onto his for the Austin and Atlanta markets. And he can tell investors, hey, we're investing in autonomy. And, they're cleaning cars, they're managing a fleet. It's not exactly luxurious work, not very high tech work. But they can say, yeah, these are costs we're investing in autonomy. And in return, there's no Waymo app now in Austin and Atlanta. It's now just the Uber app. So I think Waymo is really looking at how they can offload these costs to other partners. It's kind of interesting because Uber's not traditionally in the fleet management business at all. But I think they're willing to get into it to be able to do a handshake on this deal, take a burden off Waymo's shoulders, and then look like, okay, we're not getting killed by autonomy. Autonomous cars are actually kind of coexisting on our network. The other aspect of it could be that the geofence is very challenging, right? So let's say that your geofence and your service is very limited and it would just be very useless in Austin and Atlanta. On the Uber network, you can send a Waymo for the rides that are within the geofence while seamlessly dispatching a human for the rides that aren't within the geofence. So if you want to do like a weird shaped geofence, for example, that could be another reason to launch with Uber rather than launching in the Waymo app.
Interesting. Any comments on that? Please request to speak. I see Machine in the audience. If you can come up, talk about this. Machine, welcome.
Hello, long lost friend. Well, not friend, acquaintance.
Bad.
What's going on here? I've been out for a while, and in the meantime, I think everyone's realized now that they're never getting unsupervised FSD in their car. Have you all realized that, or did I have to come in and break the news again?
Uzi.
But who is this? I've never heard this guy before.
Yeah, we don't know. We forgot about him. Did you get your work done? Did you get your permission from your wife?
I did get my work done.
Oh, good. So you're gonna be coming more often now?
We'll see. I mean, the space is kind of going downhill, much like Elon Musk. So I don't know if I want to be part of a sinking ship, but I have to dip in every once in a while to see if there's any new information. And I guess, at some point this week, and I don't listen back to these things, Omar said that the demo on 1010 is going to be the first version of unsupervised FSD software. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did a few weeks ago. And if you miss these 2-hour spaces, you can always go to my Patreon and read for 2 minutes. I know reading is hard for you, but you can dedicate 2-3 minutes to read the summary. And the space is not going down. At the top of our screens is a graphic from YouTube Analytics showing that we're actually getting record amount of viewership right now before Machine joined. And our viewership started going down after he joined.
Brought to you by Joa.
Yeah, exactly. Brought to you by Joa and Pay More. Don't forget Pay More, guys. At the top of our screens. Follow that account. Strong supporter of the space, unlike Machine. Machine, what do you expect for this 1010 event? There's a lot to talk about. We talked about OpenAI. We talked about potentially integrating Grok into Robotaxi. We talked about the Robotaxi sighting, the design of it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think the best way I could make an analogy to this Robotaxi sighting is if a really attractive girl comes up to the door and she expects her first date to be with me, but instead she opens the door and it's you. That's kind of like what this Robotaxi looks like.
Amazing, beyond expectations. So you're saying people are going to drop their pants when the Robotaxi pulls up?
It looks like pee, dirty, hasn't showered in a week, got weird bumps all over its body. Yeah.
You do realize it has camouflage on it, right?
There's no way that that is not exactly what the car is going to look like. Okay.
All right. Any comments on OpenAI's $150 billion valuation? O1, Strawberry. I know you don't follow AI machine learning too much, but would you like to say anything?
No, I've been actually exercising this morning, so I haven't read too much about this release. I don't know much about it. I have downloaded Cursor. I want to try to play with this programming app. But yeah, no, I'm not up to date. Sorry.
Okay. Do you expect anything different in the Robotaxi hardware, sensor suite, or the inference computer on board than what new Teslas have today, aside from camera location stuff?
I mean, for sure there's gonna be more compute, but I don't. That's kind of a given. It's hard to say in terms of additional sensors. That's kind of 50-50 in my view. I think the best bet was not LiDAR, but it would be imaging radar as the best bet of what they would add. Not only is it more orthogonal to cameras in terms of what it picks up than LiDAR, it is not LiDAR. So Elon can successfully continue his statement that Tesla will not use LiDAR. That's a secondary, first principles reasoning there. And the other part, though, I think, which is more likely, is simply that the robotaxis will come with some additional hardware that further reinforces and provides the reliability to be an actual robotaxi, whether that's redundancy, like literally a redundant compute system, or dumb things we may think are dumb, like things to clean the cameras, or other ways to actually just keep the system going that other real robotaxis like Waymo have. So those are things I would expect possibly to see on this reveal, which would be why Tesla is now pivoting to calling consumer grade FSD supervised FSD, and they're starting to delineate here, which I've been saying for a while is going to happen, and saying the only focus should be on the robotaxi. That's the only thing we should be modeling out is the robotaxi vehicle, not the instantaneous turning on of all hardware 3 and hardware 4 cars and adding them to the robotaxi network. This was absurd. I was literally the only person on Twitter, only one, saying this was not going to happen, and everyone
And you were wrong.
and admonishing me. And now I'm going to be proven right. And everyone knows incrementally the predicted poly market odds on this bet have been going up and up in my favor day after day. Omar, you are losing. You're going down to 0% votes. Okay, so you might as well just give up now.
I mean, I think based on what we're seeing, hardware 3 will be able to do unsupervised FSD. So I could have you come over right now, summon the car driverlessly, have us get in the back seat, drive us around, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and we would be fine. We wouldn't get in any crash. Dan O'Dowd has done this. They've put some dummy in the front and they've sat in the back and said, drive us around the corner. And he lived to ship post another day, right? The cars are doing it. Now, obviously, the software needs to be far, far more reliable than it is today. But you just look at what the cars are doing today. Everything's there for unsupervised FSD and all these little things. Oh, you need to be able to clean the camera like Waymo. Waymo has a much more comprehensive sensor housing than Tesla does for sure on their cameras, but they rely on just going back to the depot and having someone manually clean the lidars and cameras. So it's not exactly some super high tech solution that you can't do with even a hardware 3 Tesla.
Machine, who do you think is going to win the bet at the top?
Well, first of all, once the space goes downhill to zero, you can have a job, Yaman, wiping all the cameras with your butt. Okay. So you can get some revenue. And in terms of this bet, I'm looking at it here. Oh man, 1 million Teslas that have, I still think you're going to lose this bet. I think they're going to ramp up the Robotaxi production. I mean, the goal obviously is to produce quite a number of Robotaxis. And so they're going to start production on this, maybe start in 2026, let's say volume production 2027. They're certainly going to have 1 million Robotaxi vehicles produced before 2030. So then it comes down to, is the software good enough at that point?
Wait, hold on. Why do you say they're going to if they start production, let's say end of 2026, do you think they can get to 1 million Robotaxis built 2027, 2028 in 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be a close call? Or do you think, I guess you think 2029 then?
I mean, from my recollection, the Robotaxi will be using the unboxed method. Isn't that correct?
Omar?
Correct.
So I imagine part of the design of this entire new line will be making it faster. And I would have to look back at what the Model Y ramp was. But my so it could be close in terms of the cumulative number of units of Robotaxis that they build. But I just think they will get over 1 million by 2030. You have 2029, 2028, 2027. So if you did like let's say you got to 150, 300, and 600,000 in those 3 years, then you would make it over 1 million. And we could quibble on those numbers, but I think it could be close for sure. It's a good bet.
Okay, good. And also, so you're assuming the existing fleet is not going to be able to do it. You're saying it's purely going to be the purpose-built Robotaxi, and it depends on when they start production. So how confident are you that they're going to start production by the end of 2026?
I guess I'm not. I have no idea. This is like they haven't talked about it in a while, right? I mean,
we talked about it. You haven't.
Well, what is the latest statements that they gave? I thought they were going to start in 2026.
So Omar's take is at least 18 months away. I think it's going to be longer, but he says at least 18 months away.
Maybe 12 if they were really aggressive. So probably 12 to 18 months at minimum.
And we're coming up to Q4 2024. So call it, I guess, end of 2026 is where you guys agree.
Yeah.
And then it'll take an additional 12 to 24 months to ramp to 1 million units a year. So, I mean, they absolutely need to be starting on this thing now.
Okay. The machine says it's a good bet. Omar says I'm going to lose as well. I think everybody says I'm going to lose this bet, but I guess we'll see. Is anyone on my side on this bet?
Dan O'Dowd?
We should just end the space right there. All right. Machine, what else is on your mind? Anything about energy, Optimus? Did you give up on Optimus now? Or did you see Elon's comments that Tesla's going to produce 1 million per year by 2030? machine.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't find the tab. I did not see this comment. 1 million by 2030. Okay.
Yeah,
Why
per
not?
year, 1 million
Yeah.
per year by 2030. He
Right,
made
I
the
mean,
all-in comments.
these are should be much faster to produce. This does not require a space or machines to build. So it's simply going to be about demand, in my viewpoint.
Hold on a second. So you think we're going to have 1 million robotaxis by 2030? Do you still think Optimus is going to generate the first billion profits before robotaxis?
Well, I mean, look, if Elon is saying they're going to produce not cumulative 1 million, but annually 1 million Optimus by 2030, then that is actually going to be a little bit ahead of the production rate of robotaxis. So then it comes down to how much revenue are you getting from each, revenue and profit are you getting from each unit versus the robotaxis, if they're actually in sync. And I still believe the Optimus could produce more profit still. I don't know when they're going to start producing this thing to sell. So it could go either way. But we're going to start finding out next year. Hopefully by the end of next year, we're going to get some evidence. Is Robotaxi software close to ready? Then and Optimus is still not being sold or not useful yet. Then I'm going to lose the bet. And that's definitely possible.
Wow. I mean, you've been losing a lot of bets lately. So I hope that you start paying your coffee. Alexander?
Yeah, if we assume that Optimus is about 70 kilograms, it would be
Can you guys hear Alexander?
Yes.
I can hear him.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay. Then it would be 1/30th of the materials of a Model 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like comparing the size of an American. We're very big, very strong, to skinny Europeans, like the Swedes. Very skinny. When they turn sideways, you can't see them, and it's actually very dangerous for crossing the roads in Stockholm. I witnessed this personally.
Did you know we actually flew Machine out of Sweden? We didn't want him here.
That may listen. They
This is 100% true.
stupidly gave me free tuition to Kolte Hall and gave me a Persian number, which just means person number. This is how intelligent this language is, Swedish. When they want fancy words, they just combine two words.
Okay, Machine, I know you want to divert attention from the coffee bets you owe me, but SMCI, as you predicted, did not make ATH. Please send coffee money.
I did lose that one. Yeah.
Thank you. And also, FSD did not get to 99% of trips without a critical disengagement by September. Please send that
by
as well.
end of September, Mister.
It has to be there for a month.
2 weeks left.
No, it has to be there for a month. Please send it as well. Thank you. Let's see. Lithium prices are down, cobalt prices are down. So Q3, what do you think about Q3 production deliveries margins?
I haven't been paying super close attention to the changes in the financing offerings in China and the US. So I'm not completely sure about how it compares cumulatively in Q3 versus Q2. I know people like James Catt, I think, have been hinting that I think they think overall earnings will be a bit higher than expected.
No, he initially said margins may have bottomed in Q2, but then he quickly changed that view.
Oh,
and
really?
I do think, I think the deals right now are the best deals ever.
Yeah.
Around the world. So in lithium prices declining will make up for it a little bit, but I think margins quarter to quarter will probably be down.
So if that's the case, I think if you combine, I think people now have this assumption that energy is going to be similar in Q3 than it was in Q2, which I think simply will not be the case. Q2 was not some stable number That was not like their annualized production rate. That was just like, backlog happening to get filled that quarter. So you're going to end up with Q3 probably lower revenue from energy. I don't know about the gross margins. So yeah, I don't know. I think earnings will be fine. I don't think they're going to be mind-blowingly bad or good. And yeah, what that does to share price, I don't know anymore.
Okay, 4680s. Limited Factor just put out a video talking about the second generation. I'm sure you've watched it. What did you think of his comments? Improvements in energy density. What are your thoughts there?
No thoughts, and I don't know. Some comments now are coming out. I see tweeting at me saying Machine hasn't been paying attention, but knows everything. I didn't say I know everything. Did I say I know everything? All I said was you're not getting Robotaxi on your hardware 3 car. I don't need to pay any more attention to anything. Every time I look at some information, it verifies what I say. So yes.
Do you think hardware?
Yes, I do know about that.
Do you think hardware 4 is going to get Robotaxis?
I mean, I thought it would have a better chance simply from the 8x compute capacity increase as well as the higher camera resolution. I would have given it a much better chance, say 10% chance for hardware 3, a 50% chance for hardware 4. But the most recent developments are making that seem a bit less likely, simply because of how they're rewording their contract purchases, giving a different definition to unsupervised for the Robotaxi. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying those are hints, right? So that moves the probability down to like 40% right now. I would say 30 to 40% chance hardware 4 does.
Okay. And obviously, Purposeful Robotaxi is going to roll out with hardware 5. You agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. So it has the highest chance. Okay. Limited Factor 4680. Cathode now uses more nickel, less cobalt, still NMC chemistry, but 955. So 91% nickel. Anode is purely graphite, and there's no silicon added. You noted that. 11% increase in energy density from Gen 1 to Gen 2 for the 4680 battery. Are you happy with that? 11% improvement?
Yeah, I mean, seems like it's good enough for now. I mean,
have you watched it, dude?
I think I fast
oh my god! Okay.
No, I fast
11% increase energy density, primarily due to thinner can and higher energy density cathode material.
No one cares. No one cares. All that matters is DBE, volume production. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Okay. Okay, got it. Uzi?
I did watch the video very quickly, and it said that it was a 272 watts per kilogram. It was on par with Panasonic. So I do think it is material.
Okay, good. You know, as you can see, as demonstrated in graphic as in front of you guys right now live, Machine, although they're smart, very experienced, very knowledgeable as of a couple of months ago, once he stopped coming into the space, the people who come into the space more consistently, like Uzi, are more on top of news, more insightful, more knowledgeable, and just overall, better people. Machine?
I mean, listen, I said I fast forwarded through it, and there's no new information. I heard too they got the 270. Okay, congratulations. They got
and
the
Uzi.
Uzi
is
so
Uzi. By the way, for the record, Uzi is half the age of you are. Like he knows more.
That's not surprising. He's half my age, half my size. But you know what? Fine, replace me with him. See how it goes. What's her name? Is Uzi, anyways? You threatening me with a gun?
You know why I'm half your size? It's all the Popeyes, buddy.
That's true.
I'm gonna go to Popeyes soon. I see a couple around me. All right. What else do we want to talk about?
Did you know that Popeyes liked my comments about them?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Very proud of that.
They should get you a sponsorship.
Yeah, why don't you work on that?
Good. I should work on that. Oh, I don't want to. Yeah, we'll see. Any comments on macro machine? Inflation has been coming down. September inflation has been being adjusted downward. Now the probability of a 50 basis point cut is about 50-50 between 25 basis point and 50 basis point. What do you think this means for Tesla stock?
I don't know any more of Tesla stock. I think, fundamentally, obviously, any interest rate drops could be good for Tesla stock. That's what seems to happen. If they cut 50 basis points on the first level, it would seem like it would help Tesla stock. Everyone would be like, great, lower interest rates. People are going to pay more for their cars. But then you always have the messaging, and the messaging is very important. If the Fed comes out, Jerome Powell, and cuts 50 basis points, and he's very bearish on the economy, then that's why they had to cut 50 basis points. Then people are going to get fearful, and that's going to be bad for the stock market. So if he still comes out like 50 basis points, but this is a soft landing, everything's great, we don't need high interest rates anymore, that'll be good. If it's more fear driven, bad.
Okay, so you just repeated what everybody else is saying. Do you have any original thoughts you want to share?
I mean, how much original thoughts can you have on interest rates and the effects on stocks? Okay, go up or down. There's two options.
What a comment. Okay. Yesterday we talked a little bit about Tesla's forecast from Q2 2023. So from a year ago, Tesla forecasted in the update letter 100 exaflops of training compute by October 2024. And I don't think we're near there. But do you think Giga Texas, the build out of Giga Texas facility for training cluster, is going to lead to a step change in FSD performance?
Seems like the biggest change in FSD performance is making the models bigger right now. So they could have simply trained these models for longer on the current compute. If they really wanted, if it was getting such a massive change to just run the models for longer, then they could have done that with their current compute, because it doesn't seem like they're running these things for months. So if it's that big of a deal and it's going to give you that much of an improvement, they would have just been like, yeah, man, let's, instead of getting all these releases out, just run one for months and get a huge benefit. But instead, it seems like, and then we'll find out more with V13. Is V13 the same model set parameter size, or has it gotten bigger again? And if it has gotten bigger again, then I think that's another clear indication they're really going to be focused on making these models bigger to get the biggest benefit. And then obviously you need more compute to handle that. If you 5x the model, you're gonna generally need 5x the compute for it to be finished in the same amount of time. So that's just my feeling right now. That's the model size. But as we know, scaling laws, it's all the things together. If you increase the model size, you want to also increase data input and compute at the same time.
Finally, an original thought that adds value to the discussion after 25 minutes of existence in the space. First original thought. Alexander, go ahead.
I don't get paid for this.
Yeah, machine, does model size correlate to how long you are like training the model?
I don't know if you're trying to make a joke.
No, I'm an amateur. I'm an amateur. So I'm asking you.
As he was talking, I thought, is he going for a joke? But I remembered he's Swiss, so it's probably not.
Oh my God, did you call him Swiss?
Oh my God, yeah, man. Okay, yeah, I'm blocking you now.
Danish or whatever. Okay.
Danish, even worse, man.
Even worse.
Yeah, that region of the world. Okay.
So listen, it's very simple. I mean, if you have a larger model, it requires more memory and it requires then more compute to be able to finish each epoch or each training step, where you basically pass through all your back propagate all your error through the weights and update the weights and keep doing that over and over. If you have a larger model, more layers or more parameters, it takes more memory and more compute to do it. So I don't want to say it scales exactly 1-to-1. It depends on the architecture and how it increases. But in general, if you have a bigger model, yeah, you're going to need more compute. Or you can use the same compute and just let it take longer, right? But people don't want to keep doing that and having to like run it for a year. It's not practical.
I'm in a warning, Alexander.
Yeah. Do you mean you could like basically brute force it, the model, just keep on training, and then you have a really good model?
No, so like basically, if you make a model extremely big, you could brute force get the training error to 0. But if the model is not well architected, the test error, if you evaluate it on data it was not trained on, will not go to 0. And actually at some point it'll start going up, and that's called overfitting. So you have to intelligently build your model and model size so that you can train it in a way that both the training error and the test error data performance goes down. And generally, if you increase to do that, you may need to increase the amount of data that you're putting in, and that's kind of the scaling laws. As you increase the size of the model, ideally you also increase the amount of data going in so that it can keep getting better without overfitting, if that makes sense.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Let's leave it there. Machine, any final comments?
I'm not invested in Tesla stock right now, outside of those little shares I have. So I'm waiting to see what happens with this event. It's going to be exciting. What do we got?
You're not going to invest before the event? I mean, people are out there predicting $300 per share before the event.
Well, if it goes up near there, I will probably short it at that level.
Okay, there we go. There you have it. I've been saying that this guy's a bear, and he admitted just now that he is indeed a short seller, disguised as a bull.
Not currently. That's a lie.
Uzi?
I just wanted to mention I probably will be away the next 2 weeks, so don't think I'm machine or anything.
Okay. All right. On that note, thank you very much, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment below the video. Helps push it out to others. Subscribe, like, repost, reply. Help support this amazing, great space. Thank you very much. I will chat with you next time. Take care.